Xiaojun sets an unofficial world record. Clarence Kennedy reclaims his title as Clarence O. And the Weightlifting House CAMO range is finally here. Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of the Weightlifting House news show, the only weightlifting news show in the world. So it's about time. It's been a few weeks that I've been kind of hinting that the camo drop is coming at weightliftinghouse.com, and it is finally time. So you can now get the Weightlifting House camo logo hoodie and t-shirt in multiple colours alongside the Glenn Pendlay method, the better of the two books that I've written, all over at weightliftinghouse.com. I'll put links down below for you guys, and make sure that you check out Weightlifting House store on Instagram. That's the new page I'm trying to build up. Weightlifting House is about to hit 100k, which is really cool. That should happen within the next 2 weeks if productions go as planned. But the Weightlifting House store, I really want to start building. So if you're not yet following it, please do so now. So as it turns out, there is once again more news to kind of add to the accumulated devastation that has gone on in the sport of weightlifting since Richard McLaren, the private investigator, was hired by the IWF to basically analyze corruption at the highest levels, or really I should say at the most basement levels of the sport. Now, I'm not going to go into absolutely everything that's happened because I have done so literally dozens of times now on the Weightlifting House podcast, on the news show, and on weightliftinghouse.com in article form. So if you want to know absolutely everything that is available to you, you can just go and check that out. But I will go over what's now come out over the last few days. So WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, is now demanding action from the IWF, the International Weightlifting Federation, over the 130 samples that were hidden during the reign of ex-IWF president's sort of tenancy, Toma. Some of these 130 samples are supposed to be relatively old, but some as new as 2019. But the problem is, no one really knows where these samples are being hidden, other than the fact that they were buried away, to quote the article that came out from Inside the Games, in the IWF headquarters in Budapest. So with this 130 samples added to the ones we already know about, that means that there's somewhere between 170 and 180 kind of hidden or covered up or altered samples from weightlifters that span perhaps the last 10 years in the sport. During a board meeting with the IWF this week, it was announced to them all that WADA had basically been in touch and demanded some kind of action, basically saying that it was about time that all of these samples were retested and the consequences of these retests sort of handed out to the athletes. But then again, another problem sort of ensues at this situation. Some of the tests are over 10 years old, and so they're basically irrelevant just based on the fact that the rules are within the sport of weightlifting, if a retest from over 8 years, I believe it is found to be positive, it has no further impact on the placements from the actual competition. Then to add to that, lots of the samples are lacking the athlete's name, they're lacking the athlete's country, so the whereabouts and whose samples these all are is also to some extent up in the air. So I will keep you guys up to date as best as I can, but in the meantime, this is as far as we know. There's just more corruption that is kind of coming to the surface, and this is a good thing ultimately for our sport. Okay, now that we've got kind of the horrible stuff out of the way, and now that hopefully you guys have been to weightliftinghouse.com and grabbed one of the new camo hoodies, we're going to move on to the way that I kind of really like to start the show normally, which is over to Team China, and more specifically to the GOAT himself, Xiaojun, 36-year-old Lu. Now this week, he just snatched an unofficial world record, 175 kilos. The world record currently stands at 173, held by Egypt's Mohammed Ehab. And the most we've actually seen by Lu in this new 81 kilo class, in international competition at least, is 172 kilos. The most we've seen from him in competition ever, of course, 177. That was the world record that he moved up single-handedly from 174 up to 177 back in the old 77 kilo class. And of course his training PR is 180 kilos. But this is the most that we've seen from him as an 81 kilo lifter, which is incredibly exciting. And also kind of amazing and surprising that he's in such good shape so soon after the general preparatory phase that Team China just went through. As well as this incredible snatch, Lu also posted a video of a 260 kilo back squat double. Now, this is actually quite remarkable. Of course, we know that he's back squatted 305 kilos. He said that in the exclusive Weightlifting House interview, but that was years ago. And it seems that for the last couple of years, we haven't actually seen him squat anything over, at most, 270 kilos, 5 slabs of beef on each side of the bar. So to see him do 260, which at the moment is normally sort of a heavy single pre-competition kind of weight, to see him double that and make it look as good as he did is very exciting. It seems like Lou is, for the final time in his career, ramping up, and he's ramping up big. He kind of knows that this is it. Tokyo 2020, as it's still technically called, though it's going to be in 2021, fingers crossed, is the final big competition that Lou is going to have to enter. He'll head to the Asian Championships. Hopefully he'll compete, but he may just weigh in. He doesn't actually have to technically lift in that competition because he has enough competitions over the last 18 months of qualification events, basically. But he is ramping up fast. I noticed as well that a lot of people had commented on this video of Lou saying, why does he squat so high, basically, when he does his back squats? He can snatch lower and he catches his cleans lower. And as far as I understand from having spoken to the guys who run Lu Xiaojun Barbell, as well as Lou, as well as other people who are involved with Team China, this isn't necessarily hugely standard for Team China, though a lot of the Chinese athletes do this. It's in part due to his age, and then it's in part due to the fact that the back squat is such a general exercise. The goal with the back squat, at least for the Chinese, is to just load the body, the legs and the back with as much weight as possible. The front squat, a far more specific movement, is where you see the Chinese athletes, Lu Xiaojun included, actually going as low as they would if they were to do a clean. That's where the transfer from the front squat to the clean is noticed. The back squat, purely to develop strength. Shenzhen Weightlifting posted a video this week also of Tian, 96 kilo world champion, world record holder, hitting a 190 kilo power clean and power jerk. He always power jerks. Sometimes he power jerks when he goes basically to parallel, but he's a power jerker. And this 190, not the most he's ever seen, but even so, remarkable. And presumably, I would have thought the highest that anyone basically in that weight category can catch 190 kilos. I have seen in person Meso Hisona power clean 200 kilos. I'll post that video at some point soon, maybe just to the Patreon page because it's not a full training session in its own right. By the way, 30-minute Patreon video just went up. This is kind of more for the hardcore Weightlifting House people who've been around for a long time. It's just me and Josh just taking the piss out of each other for 30 minutes. If you know, you know, and it's funny, but if not, don't worry about it. But anyway, Tian Tao, 190 kilos. I've seen Meso do 200 before, but we've also seen Tian Tao do 200 kilos back at the end of 2017 when he was building up to trying to become a 96 kilo weightlifter. And I'm fairly sure he actually did 205 at some other point, but I can't seem to find or locate that video. Another interesting one is from I think it's 2014, back when Tian Tao was a 77 kilo lifter. So this was pre-2014. This could even be 2013. Tian Tao power cleaning 180 kilos as a 77. That was posted by Sir Owen Murphy, who we now know on Instagram as one of the strongest squatters in Ireland. Now, to add a little bit of comedy into this episode, whilst I was searching for this 205 kilo power clean from Tian Tao, I found possibly the greatest comment about weightlifting that I've ever witnessed or read in my life. And so I'd like to take a moment to read it out to you guys. It's from, if you've ever been on Reddit weightlifting, username is Flex Appeal. He's well known on Reddit weightlifting. And I found this comment from 3 years ago, and I want to read it out because it epitomizes how so many people think about Tian Tao. I would lock myself in a room with no doors and do battle against a pack of wild hyenas while wearing nothing but Lady Gaga's meat dress and using only a rusty spork as a weapon, just for the opportunity to move to China and be hired to work for 15 cents a day in the state-sponsored laundromat that hand washes Tian Tao's dirty training shorts. Over now to the 73 kilo weightlifters, we have Wei Yingting, who I mentioned last week for having hit that 190 kilo clean and split jerk in training. This time he competed in competition, and I'm kind of worried that he's about to become the new Lu Dailin of the 73s. He's about to do to the 73s what Lu Dailin did to the 81s and just mix everything up and make everything a little bit more interesting. Because this week, the unknown Wei Yingting just hit a 150 kilo snatch, which is great, it's grand, it's nothing to write home about. But then he power cleaned 180 kilos, and he jerked it. The jerk was a little bit funky, actually. Weight was all in the front leg, but even so, he power cleaned that 180 like nobody's business. He power cleaned that 80 as high, if not higher, than we've ever seen Xiaojun power clean 180 kilos. And I don't know what it is about Chinese 73 kilo weightlifters power cleaning ridiculous amounts of weight, but we have another one, and he's one to keep an eye on. So guys, go follow Dr. Steph Performance on Instagram, who is helping out and training some of these athletes, including Weightlifting, so you can stay up to date with them. Next, and again from Dr. Steph Performance, we have Wu Chang Sheng, 109 kilo lifter. In competition, he went 170-220. The reason I sort of decided to mention this, the 170 not so impressive considering, you know, there are 73 kilo weightlifters in China, Xiaojun, doing that kind of weight. But more the 220 is actually surprisingly close to Yang Zhe, the 109 kilo at one point snatch world record holder. So he's a little bit of a way off in the snatch, but in terms of the clean and jerk, not too far from Yang Zhe. So Wu Changsheng, worth a follow also. And then finally from China, I mentioned her last week, we have Kang Yue, posted on Lu Jiajun Barbell's Instagram, and it was just another lift from one of the absolute goats of the sport. So Kang Yue this week hit 115 kilos in the hang snatch, absolutely amazing lift. I just went back through some of the Weightlifting House media that is yet to be released and realized I have quite a lot of footage from Kang Yue from Trampoline in Switzerland. It was a bronze tier, 0 Roby point bonus event from almost exactly a year ago, so I might start uploading that at some point too, because we have Kang Yue hitting something around a 120 snatch and a 145 to 150 kilo clean and jerk. Across to Japan, we have a new athlete who I've not mentioned before, 81 kilo Shishido Daisuke, who hit a new PR in the clean at 195 kilos. Nothing to add beyond that. It's a great lift. It's not quite world record standard, but even so, it deserves a mention. Next, we're going to head over to Australia, because I feel bad about leaving Australia to the end all the time, because it doesn't really make sense. I sort of start in Asia and make my way across, and then across over the Atlantic, down, and then for some reason we go all the way back to New Zealand and Australia. So I'm gonna fit them in now. So this week in Australia, we have Charisma Mkrtchyan, who I mentioned last week. She's only 21 years old. She's in the plus 87 kilo category, and she just hit a 225 kilo back squat double. Last week I mentioned her, I think it was a 215 kilo double, so 225 already, just ridiculous. She's peaking for some kind of national competition that's happening in Australia soon. And whilst we're with Australia, I also want to mention Kiana Elliot, who has, for me, I would say maybe the most mesmerizing and interesting technique in the world. I absolutely love it. Interesting just because there's something slightly different about it. She's so fluid. She fixates the bar better than anyone, in the sense that when she catches the bar overhead, there's just no movement. A little bit like Kang Yue, but maybe even better. She just catches that bar. She's so perfectly locked out. And when she moves, it's almost like her legs move and the bar moves, and she's searching for these points of stretch reflex, but more than most people find is really interesting to watch. Anyway, she just hit 85 kilos for a snatch high pull plus snatch. She has hit 100 kilos in the past. Great video by the weightlifting platform of that 100 kilo snatch, so hopefully we'll have that playing for you guys to watch too. But anyway, if you're not following Kiana, certainly do so, just for the technique goals. Over to Iran, just very quick pit stop. We have the 109 kilo Alireza Seleimani, who hit a 215 kilo clean plus jerk. It was a 2+1 at almost exactly, well, it's 1 kilo below 90% of the world record, 240, held by Simon Martirosyan. Speaking of which, actually, head over to the Weightlifting House Instagram and you can see a full training session cut down into a 60-second video of Simon Martirosyan from the World Championships last year. We've got videos of Tatiana, we've got videos with Meso, Ilya, Aileen Sikamatana, a bunch of different athletes that were, and more to come actually, that we're turning into these short training videos for Instagram. While you're there, Weightlifting House store, to see cool things like this, and maybe soon this, actually. In fact, it's probably time for a drink swap because I finished this now. Anyway, Alireza Seleimani, 215 kilos for a 2+1 clean and jerk. The thing is, it looks like 225 kilos. I'm not sure whether one of these plates is just colored incorrectly, but as far as I can remember, it was red, yellow, that's 150, yellow, that's 180, blue, that's 220, and then the collar, so 225. I think he said it was 215 kilos. There could have been a mistaken translation, but if it is, it's just even more phenomenal. It's even more impressive. That's the kind of bronze medal clean and jerk at the World Championships level in that weight class, let alone for a 2+1. So, guys, Alireza Seleimani, worth a follow. Now we're going to move over to Armenia. Again, we have Mr. Consonant, aka Mr. Internally Rotated. We have Hakob Mkrtchyan, more consonants to vowels in his name than anyone in weightlifting. I said it last week, I'm going to have to say it again. Mkrtchy. So you have to wait till the 7th letter before you even get a kind of vowel, and then it's AN at the end. Anyway, he's an 89 kilo weightlifter, world champion. The most we've seen from him in competition, he's clean 213, clean and jerk 208, I believe. 190 for a power clean double, which, again, we've seen a lot of power cleans this week. In fact, we've seen a lot of power cleans this week. We just had Wei Ting, we had Tian, and now we have Hakob Mkrtchyan. So moving over now to Qatar, Meso Hasona, 171 kilo block clean, which is pretty decent. He said he wanted to try more. He never did. He never got back to me on that one. He told me he was going to send me a video of a 200 kilo snatch off blocks, but I think he got a bit carried away on that estimate. Then he posted a video of a 200 kilo block clean. He said he'd never gone over 180 kilos before, which is surprising. I guess he just never really does block cleans. Same with Ilya, actually. Ilya never does block cleans. He does block snatches. And I asked him once, I said, why, Ilya, do you do block snatches? You snatch 200 off blocks as a 94. You snatch 205 off blocks as a 105, exceeding your actual PRs from the floor by a good 10 kilos in both lifts. And he said he had no idea. He said he just hadn't ever done them before. His coach had never given to them, but he was going to start doing them. And then he retired from the sport, just as I had influenced the way he was going to train, which is a shame. But anyway, Meso now doing 200 kilos for the block clean. He says he reckons he has 220. I don't doubt the guy. Over now to Romania, we have Loredana Toma, 64 kilo weightlifter, 2017 world champion, multiple time world medalist, European champion, all of that sort of stuff. She just posted a video of 180 kilo back squat double. Now the most we've ever seen from her, and again, I think this was actually from a couple of years ago, is 200 kilos for one. Now 180 kilos for a double, that's 90% for two. I've got videos of her doing a bunch of doubles at 160 kilos from the Roma World Cup. Again, I'll post those videos on YouTube or Instagram soon, or the Patreon page, something like that. So they will be out there at some point. I have a lot of footage that I'm sitting on right now that I need to start uploading over the next few months. But anyway, 180 for a double from Loredana, pretty spectacular. I mean, it's almost triple body weight for a double, and she has certainly out-squatted triple body weight for a single. Also, actually, before we get into the next bit, I noticed that a lot of people didn't realize until I posted a zoom in on Instagram that in between the W and the H on this logo is actually the outline of a bar. I don't know if you guys can see it from there. One sec. There we are. There we are. I think you can see that now. WH with a little bar bit in between. Alright, I'm not quite sure why that popped into my head, but it did, and I just felt like I couldn't ignore it. Okay, we're going to move over to Clarence Kennedy, aka Clarence O. Now, finally, after something like 5 months of not releasing anything on his main channel, Clarence O, where he has 227,000 followers, which is just truly remarkable, he's finally posted a video, and it was littered with filthy lifts, just absolutely incredible. And so I'm just going to go through some of them. It would almost be easier to just watch it, but I don't want to just steal his video because, well, he commented on last week's episode, so he might be here watching this one, and I don't want to just pilfer all of his hard work and pass it off as my own content, which I feel like is maybe what this episode does anyway, this weightlifting news show. But anyway, hopefully the analysis adds to it. So from Clarence this week, 180 kilos for a power clean and jerk, pretty decent power clean. Another power clean for the episode. A 300 kilo back squat, this time with a bounce. I think this is the most that we've ever seen Clarence, in fact, equal to the most we've ever seen Clarence hit in a back squat with a bounce. He's done 306 with a pause. His famous 300 with a pause that he did 4 years ago is probably the most epic of the squats, but he has increased that actually with a pause. But anyway, this week 306, which made it, 300 with a bounce, which made it the fastest 300 kilo back squat I think that we've seen from Clarence. He then hit a 220 kilo clean and jerk, which is immense. The most he's ever done is 222.5 kilos. He did that just over a year ago with Gabrielson Crane. If he's done more, he's probably got it hidden on his Patreon. I hope, in fact, I hope I haven't got that too wrong. I'm sure, well, if he has done more, I don't know about it, but as far as I know, 222.5 kilos is the most he's ever clean and jerked. The most he's ever cleaned, 230 kilos. But this 220 was incredibly good looking. Like, it was, the clean was, I think it was just a straight one bounce, so he didn't sit down there for a while. He stood it up easily. The pull didn't look hard. The jerk was actually pretty solid. He did a much better job at keeping his hips under the bar when he caught the jerk. I mean, just a phenomenal lift, honestly. Then he also posted a video within the video of a 180 kilo snatch, 155 kilo power snatch, a 227.5 kilo clean, that's 501 pounds, and perhaps the most impressive, a 185 kilo snatch. And rumor has it, he has done more in the snatch recently. I'm talking pushing up on that next serious sort of 200 kilo barrier range, I believe. It's somewhere near there. I haven't seen the video. It's on his Patreon, which I can't remember if I'm still a member of. I should check that because I would like to see that video. But if you want to see it, go and follow Clarence's Patreon, which is at www.patreon.com/ClarenceO. So just Clarence with a zero, like a naught. And you get access to all of that. It's actually a good price. There's a $1, $2, and a $4 tier. And you get a lot of stuff, a lot of extra videos. I believe he actually posts most of his training videos now exclusively to Patreon. So go and check him out there, because Lord knows he's putting his time in the sport. Admittedly, most of it in a crazy sort of like abandoned church that I've actually been to and have a photo of myself in, just because I thought it was such a cool place to be. But anyway, go check out Clarence. Go watch his 185 snatch, his 220 clean and jerk, his 227.5 kilo clean. And also an interesting thing about Clarence is he holds the record, whether he knows it or not, on the Weightlifting House bar for heaviest snatch, heaviest clean, heaviest front squat, and probably heaviest back squat. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's whip it across the Atlantic to the USA. This week we have Jessie Stemo, who competed at the Parent Grace Invitational Open. I'm not quite sure what the competition was called. And I actually really want to know what all the results were. I can't seem to find them anywhere. The people who were there doing media haven't yet posted all the videos, so I'm going to have to save that until next week to systematically go through. The only person that I'm sure of is Jessie Stemo, who we're a big fan of at Weightlifting House. We've had her on the podcast before. Amazing athlete, incredible story. And Barbell Stories posted the video of Jessie Stemo snatching a new PR, 108 kilos. And I think she's kind of flirted that way a little bit over the last month or two. I have a feeling I mentioned her block snatching that, or at the very least block snatching 107. She recently PR'd a snatch from the floor at 105. So her sort of rate of progress at the moment is very fast, but she's been sort of right on the border of hitting that 108 for a while. So phenomenal snatching from her. She then went and hit 135 kilos in the clean and jerk. She went 5 for 6. I don't know what lift she missed. I wouldn't be surprised if she attempted a 140 and just went for it. And I guess didn't make it or something like that. Or maybe she missed 108, got it on a third. I'm not quite sure how it went. But 108, 135 is just fantastic for Jessie. And I think she's weighing somewhere around 81, 76, somewhere like that right now. And then finally from the USA, and I'm not sure whether this lift really deserves to be on the news show considering how much we've seen from her in the past, but it's world champion Kate Nye with the 125 kilo jerk double. Now, like I said, we have seen her jerk 145 kilos in the past. She's clean and jerked way up in the 30s. She's snatched 113 kilos before. So this lift is actually some way down, but even so, I saw it just as I was scrolling through before I set up this, and I figured, heck, why the hell not? Why not put Kate Nye's lifts on here too? Moving down south now through the Pan Americas, and I'm not quite sure the order of these countries. My geography of the South America isn't great. I've got Colombia, Venezuela, and Brazil. I'm going to go in alphabetical order so that people don't laugh at me too much for how badly I do this. So we'll go for Brazil to start with. Fernando Reis hit 320 kilos for a set of 5 in the back squat. This is extraordinary. I always kind of thought of Fernando as, I knew he was the strongest guy in the Pan American region. I knew he could snatch 200 kilos or more. He's on 201. I knew he could clean and jerk 240. I knew he was very strong, but I didn't think his general strength matched the same as some of the absolute strongest. I'm talking the Lashes. I'm talking the, I guess at least in the squat department, the Mart Symes and the Aishiro Murakamis. He's actually a much better weightlifter than Aishiro and Mart Syme and guys like that. Not Lasher. No one's as good as Lasher. no one's as good as Asher. But even so, this 320 is way up there in terms of general strength. And considering he just hit a new PR in the back squat a month and a half ago, 2 months ago at 350 kilos, he told us about it on the podcast that he did with us. Again, just a couple of months ago. So it must have been, maybe in July, I think he did it. And now he's doing 320 for a set of 5, which is over 90%. That's about 91.5%, something like that for 5. So he's definitely got more in the single now, 370, something like that probably. So just remarkable stuff from Fernando. Next, we're going to go to Colombia, BC, then V. C, Colombia, Luis Mosquera, who we haven't mentioned in a while because he hasn't really posted a whole lot to do with weightlifting in a while. For those of you who don't remember, Luis Mosquera, he's regarded as one of the fastest weightlifters of all time, in part due to the foot thing that he does, which always makes people look faster. But he certainly is an incredibly fast lifter. He took a bronze medal at the Olympics in 2016. He went 155, 183. I believe he even power cleaned, another power clean for the episode. He even power cleaned his opener at 183 and then took attempts at 88 and 90, 190 and missed though. But he ended up with the bronze medal overall. This week he posted a video, nothing particularly incredible, but more power cleans. He did a power clean plus power jerk at 150 kilos, so 2 power cleans and a power jerk, and then a 160 kilo power clean plus power jerk for 2 sets of the 1+1. So exciting to see him start to do a little bit more. And then finally, before we head over to the people's lifts, we have Venezuelan Julio Mayora, and he's been quiet for a month or so. The 73 kilo lifter has been exceptional to watch in 2020. His progress and his training lifts have been remarkable, really exciting, some of my favorite lifts to watch, and certainly someone that I'm picking for a medal at the Olympics. But Julio Mayora, not Julio, because people got angry at me for saying Julio Mayora just hit 160 kilos for a hang snatch. Now, the world record's 168 kilos. Back in July, he competed at the IWF online meet via Zoom. He did 160, 192. He took an attempt at 199 for an unofficial world record because you can't set a world record over Zoom, let's be honest. And he missed the 199 kilos behind, but the clean was easy. The jerk kind of looked easy too. He just lost it behind him. He is seriously one to watch. This 160 hang snatch this week was great. We saw him hang snatch even more, 163 kilos back in July. He hit 165 from the floor. He hit 170 from the blocks. That's over the world record snatch. Just such an exciting weightlifter. And as far as I know from very limited time with him, a very nice guy also. Okay, that is the end of the main section of the Weightlifting News Show. But before you go anywhere, before we get into even the people's lifts, I want to remind you of a couple of things. The first one, the new Weightlifting House camo hoodies available in grey and black. And the t-shirts, again, grey and black, are available at weightliftinghouse.com. There's links down below. You can go to the European store, which is kind of the European plus rest of the world store, or the USA store. Get that there. You can also get the Glenn Pendlay Method book, the book that I spent the vast part, the majority of 2020 writing. I'll give you a little spin through if you're interested. It's really, really nicely presented. I love the way it's come out. Certainly the nicest physical book that I've got about the sport of weightlifting, and then the fact that I wrote it makes me like it even more, obviously. But you can get that there. You can get straps, thumb tape. We've got new colours of thumb tape coming out soon. We've got new colours of straps coming out soon. We've got lots of new products, new phone cases, new hats. And of course, for the next few hours, if you're quick enough, there is still a discount on bars and plates. If you don't get it in time, which you probably won't, seeing as this is going to come out on Thursday, which is the 1st, it's all going to be full price. But the demand is high, and I'm afraid we just kind of can't keep up with it at the moment. So we're not able to discount anymore because we just don't need to. But if you want to get bars and plates, head over to weightliftinghouse.com and grab that stuff there also. Okay, let's do the people's lifts. And we have 5 people this week, and 5 really good people this week, actually. I'm really excited to go through these. Some of them really good in terms of the numbers, but all of the videos just really good in terms of the passion and love for the sport that kind of exudes from these videos. The first person is Connor Sparks. Now, he on Instagram is at Connor Sparks, CONNERSPARKS, and he kind of pulled a bit of a he was a bit cheeky with this one. He did what Cesar Flores did last week, and he did a little brackets after the hashtag the people's lifts, and he said something specifically to me, and it touched me, and I felt I need to mention him on the news show. And this time he put hashtag the people's lifts in brackets, please Seb, big fan. And Connor, I can't ignore that. My ego is too vulnerable to that sort of bracket. So Connor did a 220 kilo front squat triple this week, which is, that's filthy. He did it as an 89 kilo lifter as well, which is just remarkable. I mean, when you're front squatting more than the world record, especially for reps, that's really impressive. He also got me because he was listening to House of the Rising Sun, which is such a great song, and he listened to it whilst he was squatting, so I couldn't ignore him. He also, in the lifts, he has a back knee of the gods in the jerk. That back knee just bends so nicely. Absolutely love it. And as far as I can tell, his progress is actually pretty mad also. He hit a 240 kilo back squat single PR back in like April. And now, 4 months later? 5 months later? This year's going quick. 5 months later, he hits 220 for a triple in the front squat. Crazy. He's a super quaddy lifter. You can just tell by the way he squats. Pushes the knees forward, pushes the hips forward rather than back, loads the quad, stands up. So guys, go follow Connor Sparks for one of the strongest 89 kilo weightlifters. I mean, one of the strongest 89 people out there, really. Next, we're going to go to Mandy E. Lee 29 on Instagram, who just had a phenomenal meet. So I guess her name is Mandy Lee, and there's just an extra Y in there for some reason on Instagram. Maybe Mandy Lee 29 was taken and she needed Mandy E. Lee 29. But she went 5 or 6. Weight class, I'm unsure of, but she's small, so 55 maybe. She's really good. She went 78, 82 in the snatch, missed 85, but 82 in the snatch. She doesn't look like she could be a 64. I feel like she's got to be 59 or less. 82 in the snatch, then in the clean and jerk, she went 3 for 3, 99, 102, 105. Qualified for American Open finals, qualified for nationals. Tremendous lifting. So guys, go follow Mandy Lee 29. That's MandyYlee29. Snuck in the extra Y. Great lifting. Next we have 69 kilo Joshua Bringus. Bringus? Is that right? Oh, no. Okay. No, it is Bringus. Joshua Bringus. Joshua spelled Joshua, Bringus spelled Bringas. He's a 69 kilo lift. He just front squatted 185 kilos. That's 407 pounds, 406.5 pounds, something like that. That is over 90% of the world record in what used to be the 69 kilo weight class. The world record was 198 by Liao Hui. So it's over 90% of that. And anyone who can front squat 90% of a world record is actually pretty strong. It's no Connor Sparks 220 kilo triple kind of front squat strength, but it's still pretty damn good. I mean, 185 is actually more than I ever managed in the front squat. So really solid lifting there by Joshua Bringus. You can follow him on Instagram. He's also jerked somewhere around 155. I think he snatches in the 120-ish kind of range. So a really solid lifter to watch. Next, we're going to go to, again, Freedom Weightlifting, a great club where they have a lifter called Van Richardson, though his Instagram is Van T Richardson with the letter T in it. VANT Richardson on Instagram. And he just hit all new PRs, 118 kilos in the snatch, 145 kilos in the clean and jerk. Rugged ass technique, arm bend, no foot, basically no foot, I think, in the lifts, but just super athletic. Like, you can see the way that he moves, the speed that he gets under the bar, the lack of height, I suppose, that he needs in order to get under the bar and make a lift is really remarkable. So certainly go and follow this guy because he's actually really fun to watch. And just the way that he turned and looked at the camera after that 118 kind of got me a bit jacked up, and it takes a lot to get me kind of pumped up at the moment with weightlifting because I'm so exposed to it. So go follow Van T Richardson on Instagram. And then finally, I had to do this one for the people. We have Kelsey Goebel. Kelsey, we have Kelsey on the news show with 72 kilos for a PR clean and jerk as a 63 kilo weightlifter. And look, so I mentioned this a while ago, people use the hashtag the people's lifts, and they also use the hashtag weightlifting house, but some people are now using the hashtag the people's lifts for people who aren't very good but still try. But this is a good lift. So one, that's hysterical. I love that that's a hashtag. It's the longest hashtag of all time. But also, that's a good lift. 72 kilo clean and jerk at 63 is pretty strong. It's over body weight for a clean and jerk. So Kelsey, phenomenal lifting, well done. Keep using the hashtag if you're doing it ironically, because I like seeing that hashtag because it's just genuinely funny. But do know that you're not a bad lifter. You're actually a good lifter. and it's also good that you're still trying. So guys, you can follow Kelsey at Kelsey period or full stop, whatever you guys want to call it, Goebel, KELSEY.GOEBEL, or search the hashtag the people's lifts for people who aren't very good but still try on Instagram, and you can find her and that lift there. All right, guys, that's absolutely everything. There are links down below for the new CAMO Weightlifting House clothing. I'm really pumped about it. Oh, for people who have hoodies, these are actually new hoodies. They're much nicer, they're much thicker. The quality is actually way better. I used to love the other ones. They were sort of like a fleece version of a hoodie. They looked great and they were very comfortable, but they were thinner, and I just feel like with winter coming, because winter is coming, we need something a bit thicker. So these are actually really, really nice hoodies, really comfortable and really thick, just high quality. So you can get these, you can get the t-shirt as well, the Weightlifting House camo tee. It's got the bar too, that's pretty cool. Over at weightliftinghouse.com, grab the book, grab a barbell, grab some plates, grab whatever you fancy. We've got the whole lot. And guys, really appreciate you tuning in, and I'll catch you all on another episode of the Weightlifting House News Show.